This is a bit of a different setup, isn't it? You all right? Motivation. Oh, listen, this is going to be a good one. Oh, getting a new hip in June. Now listen, we all lack motivation from time to time. Hence me sat in this very relaxed position, putting the telly on. And fundamentally, this is going to be part of the human experience. But if you find that more commonly you are lacking motivation than not, then within this video today, I'm hopefully going to put a sprinkle of ideas into your realm to one, understand motivation a little bit more, but also number two, give you a few tools to help you navigate out of the rut and more into forward momentum as you move forwards. We want to have something sustainable to keep you operating with desired behaviors versus being reliant upon feeling. So anyway, let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the things that's going to help you move the needle. And move the needle, if you don't know by now, stick around on this channel, you'll figure out what that is. Now I've got to get up. All right. Number one, understanding your bigger purpose. Now, this can be a subject which is a little bit overwhelming. We can overcomplicate this. But by the same token, we just need to ask ourselves some very simple questions. When you get to the end of this existence, what do you want to be known for? When it comes to you personally, at home, as a dad, as a mom, as a brother, as a sister, what do you want to be known for in that realm? What do you want to be known for in your professional setting? What are the big career ambitions that you've got, which you want to achieve in time to come? What do you want people to say about you? What do you want people to recognize as your strong attributes? Once you get a little bit more clarity on these things, for that endpoint, you can start to reverse engineer a few of the behaviors that you need to make sure you line up with every single day. Now, how does this link to motivation? Motivation is going to come and go like the wind. If you operate on how you feel, 9 times out of 10, that's not going to be linked to the desired behavior, which is linked to that bigger purpose. Number two, we all have an inner critic, the one that tells us we're shit, we're not good enough, not worthy, all those sorts of things. That in reality is part of the human existence. But one thing that we've actually got in our arsenal is we can turn that inner critique into an inner coach. Now, if you've got between the two ears an inner coach who is your best cheerleader, that's really going to start to help tune and realign a winning culture for yourself in your environment. It's going to spark a little bit more action than normal, which will create motivation, which will create action, which will create motivation, and the cycle continues. And main point number three, before I give you some tools, we all know that it's you versus you. If you were to separate that in your mind and go, right, well, in the next 90 days, I'm actually going to meet that version of me. Knowing that's the case, what are the actual behaviors, the routines, habits, which you want to install to make sure that when you go toe to toe with that version of yourself in 90 days time, you win. I'm now going to give you some tools to help you start to think of this a little bit more clearly. You need a plan. Now, at surface level, yeah, tick in the box, Tom, got that sorted. Well, are you looking at the fucking thing every day, or are you quickly dismissing it? If you just wrote it down somewhere, shut the book, moved on. For me, I need visual. I use analog, number one, and digital, number two. Digitally, it's in my Google Calendar. And then analog, I'll write it down at the start of every single week. Operate with the dimmer switch. The dimmer switch, I don't actually have one, I've just got LEDs in here all over the place. Understand that dimmer switch based upon the plan. So what is the minimum expectation and what's the maximum expectation for the week to come? Now, we all in our mind build the fantasy of, I'm gonna go to the gym 3 times a week, I'm gonna do this, have this meeting with this client, I'm gonna do this, and all these sorts of fun things. You need to set a threshold for the maximum and don't go over it, and the minimum and don't go under it. Because when you do that, as the week unfolds and something's happened and a hand grenade's gone off, you can then course correct to the minimum and maximum. That's a realistic expectation, which means you've lowered the expectation but raised the standard to the sweet spot. Celebrate every single day. At the end of your working day, you need to write down 10 wins. Now, when you start to write these down, your ego will try and find it in itself to write down the real big things, which were big wins. Got the client over the line, went to the gym, smashed a massive session, Start to learn how to use the small wins to build up bigger momentum. Woke up this morning on the alarm, went downstairs, made a beautiful coffee, went for a walk around the block, spent some time with the kids. All these sorts of things which your ego will tell you aren't good enough, when you start to sharpen the blade on that a little bit and you actually tell yourself that they are really, really powerful wins that's going to help you move the needle towards bigger wins, you're going to start to compartmentalize a win list every single day. So at the end of your working week, Monday to Friday, you'll have 50 wins. 50 wins compared to, oh shit, forgot to do that. That one thing that you forgot is numbing down the actual winning momentum that you've built for yourself Monday to Friday. The most important bit, reflect. Give yourself feedback and reflect and ask yourself, have you moved 1% this week? And if you have, how have you done that? Because that's not by accident. And number two, if you feel you haven't, what do you need to change moving into next week to put you in a stronger position to move forwards 1% by next Friday? If you check in with yourself every single Friday to ensure that you are on plan with the purpose and with celebrating the wins, with forward momentum, then that's just going to make it a little bit easier and put you in a position of strength versus winging it and trying to operate from your brain and your mind. I'm a firm believer of thinking in ink, because when you do that, you make a contract to yourself on doing those things and it offloads from your brain onto paper. Your brain's doing a big job every single day, and if you're reliant on remembering things, you're going to forget. And that means forgetting your plan, your purpose, your wins, and all those sorts of things as well. The key takeaway from this, you build motivation from outworking your self-doubt. That is the bottom line for everybody. If you look at the most successful people in the world, all of the tools are out there, and it all comes down to the basics. With consistency, over time, if you're doing that, you will find that motivation will just naturally occur, number one, and you won't be reliant on motivation as you currently do today, because your tomorrow self is more aligned with where you want to go. So that's the umbrella theme of motivation. If you found that useful, please give it a like, give it a subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.